So today in this episode, I would be talking about uh, three books which has been in my vicinity, and I've been reading them for quite a few days since. So no, two of them are already completed by me. This Recursion by Blake Crouch, I completed this like last year, maybe uh, November or December as such, and then this was the first book which I read this year, which is 2026. So this is Jonathan Livingstone's Seagull, a story about a seagull, how he finds a calling which is far more greater than the basic desire of any seagull out there. And yeah, currently I'm reading this book. So so it's quite late now, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, but I was reading this particular book till 4 o'clock, from 2 to 4. So in a way, I have completed like 50% of it in 2 hours or so. So yeah, exactly 105 pages. So yeah, let me start with the two books which I have already completed. So I will start with one of the first book I read this year. So this is it. So this is I would say a fable, like uh, and it has lots of beautiful images as well. So about the seagull, and yeah, so if you are really new into like books, maybe you can pick this up. So it so see, this is my bookmark. Even though I have lots of bookmark with me, I use like random things for my bookmark. Sometimes I use my bills, and sometimes any, what you call, price tag. This is a price tag of one of my pant, I believe, jeans. Yeah. Yeah. So let's not divert onto different branches. So I would be so what I enjoyed on in this particular book is that it is written in a storyline. So one can think like this is a self-help book, but it is self-help come fiction. So it has a seagull, and so as per seagull community, it's like all the seagulls around his vicinity, everyone is moreover uh, only looks for food, and only they look for food and sleep, and there is nothing else as such. Seagull has in a way done, like in a past century. Yeah. So that's how things start. But this seagull, uh, once he was just flying, so he set out a, what do you call, a challenge for himself, and he wanted to reach certain height and then dive. And while diving, he wanted to like stay static, I would say, not, and like what do you call that, is this, hmm, I would say he just wanted to be in air for like certain amount of time, and then he want to, let's say this is the surface of ocean, and he wanted to like I don't know what this particular thing is called, even though I'm aware about lots of aerospace terms. This is coming. I don't know. I'm not able to figure it out right now. So I would say traject. No, nothing. Yeah. So he wanted to do this, right? So but the thing is that once he goes, so doing for just doing this particular part, he would need to go on to a certain height, which is impossible for seagulls. So seagulls don't actually fly at a very large height altitude. They just fly at a nominal altitude, and just to see, they see fishes in ocean and just deep dive, and then they went onto their normal stuff, like going onto an island and just resting there for a couple of, I believe, days or so, and then again they go for food, and the cycle continues. But but this seagull Johnson, and that's his name. So Johnson uh, has this, what do you call, a conviction in himself that he need to achieve greater things, uh, rather than just being just a seagull who eats and sleeps. So uh, for someone who's who think he has a higher calling and wants to achieve that particular calling of his, I would say them I would definitely recommend them this particular book. And in a way, this is really interesting book, and a beginner can also like read this, as there are lots of images and lots of uh, easy, I would say see it's an easy book to start reading. So I think on this particular sequel the story has been what do you call, written. So yeah. And I don't know why I have picked up this particular book. I read somewhere that maybe in Russia, this is off topic, not related to this particular book. So maybe in Russia they kind of like treat seagull as a part of ocean. I mean, like I believe they worship seagull. I don't know why. I need to like research on those line of thought as well. So maybe in coming episode I would have a separate episode regarding why in a Russian literature seagulls are treated like really differently, like in no, I would not say uh, I would say that like in West, like in West people like there are certain animals like lion, and then there's this bull. All these animals have some certain character to it, right? And that is uh, widely known to human race, I would say. But Russia has some different stance for seagulls, I believe. So if you look into Russian literature, you would find lots of seagull references as such. So yeah, I would definitely talk about that in maybe next someday, not next. And that was my first read of the year. And then I would recommend this particular book, which is Recursion. So this is a sci-fi novel, and it is based on the fact that uh, one day a human is one day someone. So yeah, it is based on a what do you call, a disease. So an epidemic has spread across the human race in on earth. And the thing is that what it does, what that particular disease does is that uh, it makes its victim mad, and finally uh, they suicide. So this kind of cases has been rising uh, in the city, in New York City. And then there's this one, I would say, detective who is Barry, I believe. Barry, Barry Sutton, yeah. And he is in search of like trying to know why exactly this particular epidemic is happening. So across the countries, across the big cities, things are people are like going mad, and they are dying. So that that is a what that is the premise of the story. Like this is how this particular start. But then there is a particular scientist, I would say. She her name is Helena, and both of them kind of like try to save humanity as such, and how they want to revert back to an original state rather than this mayhem which is occurring in whole of the universe. So I would say this book is I would not spoil it. I would just say you would really enjoy this particular book if you are into sci-fi. And if you want if you have seen Groundhog Day, So maybe you would get the gist, you would get a hint like why Groundhog Day I mentioned right now. If you read like through, I mean, midway through the book, you would know why exactly I mentioned Groundhog Day. So that's the second book I was trying to recommend, was talking. And then this is the third book. So this is to Sputnik Sweetheart by Murakami. So this is my second book of Murakami. I've read Norwegian Wood as well, but that was like around 5 to 6 year, not five, like 4 year uh, ago. So it was interesting book, but I didn't like enjoyed the ending of that particular book. If I could have just left out the last 4 to 5 pages of the book, I would have some different perspective now. But I didn't like Norwegian Wood as such. It was written really nicely. It was put forward like uh, in an interesting way, but I didn't quite enjoy that particular book. But this one is something else, man. This is extraordinary. So I don't really read what do you call romance books, I would say, but I have read like 50% of the book as of now. I have not completed it yet now, but whatever I have read, it's so interesting that I don't have words to mm, formulate to just justify how good this particular book's writing is. Maybe I can read one of the stanzas which I have marked. Give me a minute. Where is it? Hmm. So, so this is so here in this book. So there's like three character as such, which are major characters. So our narrator, and there is this girl whose name is Sumire. Sumire, I would say. Yeah, she belongs to Japan, I believe, but her ancestry belongs to Korea. So yeah, that is just the background. Like, so narrator is trying to speak with this main character Sumire about her writing. So she's an aspiring writer. She wants to be a writer someday, a great writer someday. What she does is that she writes, but the thing is that those writing are not interconnected. So whenever she try to write things, it doesn't make sense to formulate everything into a novel. So she is in doubt, and she's asking narrator like, is she really a good writer or not? So this is what our narrator like speaks, answers her. I'm not going to lie to you about things like that. There are some pretty remarkable scenes in these things you have written so far. Say you were writing about the seashore in May. You can hear the sound of the wind in your ears, smell the salt air. You can feel the soft warmth of the sun on your arms. If you wrote about a small room filled with a tobacco smoke, you can bet the reader would start to feel like he can't breathe and his eyes would sting. Maybe my eyes are stinging. Prose like that is beyond most most of the writers. Your writing has the living, breathing force of something natural flowing through it. Right now, that hasn't all come together, and that doesn't mean it's time to shut the lid of the piano. So, shutting the lid of the piano, you would understand once you read it. So yeah, I would say so. Describing a novel within a novel, like how what a great perspective that would be, right? Describing a novel in a novel. So it's like Inception, right? A dream in a dream, something of that order. So yeah, I really enjoyed reading this half of the book as of now, and there are lots of these characters are so, I'm like, written in so depth that you would see your friends, uh, your close friends, in this book. Not just I am pointing out to people, I would just say fragment of peoples would be reflected into the character of these books, the this characters. So I met a couple of people like that in my wonderful years as of now. So yeah, I wanted to recommend these three books. So yeah, you guys can definitely read. I would suggest, like, if you are really into sci-fi, you should read this. If you want to experience something uh, legendary writing, like if you want to feel beyond a fiction story, if you want to feel every spectrum of emotions, you should read this book. And if you are in search of some inspiration to do your like achieve your calling, you should read this book. So yeah, that's all. Bye bye.